Good evening. I'm listening to two of my former students talk about their travels, and the reason why I've asked them to come is real simple. As a college community, you guys don't travel that much, and it's an important thing, particularly if you are studying in political science or in international relations, because it will truly define your course of study. It'll make it real, it'll make it fun, and that's pretty much what you want. Tonight's program is in order. After my introduction, I'll give this over to Brenda Chavarin, who, former student of ours. She was here up until 2 years ago. She transferred to UC Davis along with Gabriela Violet, who also did the same thing. She will follow Brenda's presentation, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. As you can see, they're both at UC Davis. Brenda is studying international relations and focusing on peoples and nationalities in East Asia specifically. Her trip and studies were centered around Thailand this past summer. And Gabriela Violet is also at UC Davis studying international relations, peace and security in Western Europe, and her travels began in the United Kingdom. I should say her studies began in the United Kingdom and her travels followed that. So without further ado, I'm turning this over to Brenda. Brenda, take it away. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brenda, and as Professor Morales mentioned, I'm studying at UC Davis. I'm an international relations major, and this past summer, I had the privilege to take part in a UC program called UCAAP, which is essentially a UC-wide international study abroad. My study abroad was a bit different. I didn't really study. It was actually an internship I was placed into, and that was done through Thammasat University, which is the second leading university in Thailand. I was able to intern at UNIS Thailand. So essentially what UNIS Thailand is, it's a financial inclusion small business. It was started in Bangladesh, and I was specifically in their Grameen Bank team, which is commonly referred to as the bank for the poor. Essentially, they use microfinance and microloans to help people in need start small businesses. Apart from that, I was in the Thammasat University Rangsit campus, so that was in downtown Bangkok. I was actually right down the street from the King's Palace, so that was very cool to experience. I was under the supervision of the Global Studies program at Thammasat University. My advisors were Dr. Pitashek and Dr. Praporon. She is the dean, and he is the assistant professor. My main interaction was with Dr. Pitashek, and I still communicate with him to this day. He's actually very well known in Thailand. He does a lot of newscasting in there. As for the internship program, I really enjoyed it because I actually didn't get to search for my internship. It was done for me. All I did was give them the internships I wanted to be in, specific things I wanted to work with, even specific companies I wanted to intern, and they were able to get it done. As I said, I did internship for UNIS Thailand. I had friends who worked for the Red Cross. I had friends who interned at the UN, a variety of internship programs, and they took charge of it, which was the best part. So that was a relief of stress. So as I said, I worked under UNIS Thailand in their Grameen Bank section. It was founded by Muhammad Yunus. He's actually a 2006 Nobel Prize Peace Prize winner. He won this over poverty alleviation in Bangladesh. And actually, he's most commonly known as the interim president, prime minister of Bangladesh currently after the coup that happened a few months back. So that's my boss. He's currently running Bangladesh. And I was under the supervision, again, of my dean and my assistant professor, but also the supervisors at Grameen Bank. And essentially what I was a financial inclusion intern. So what I was doing for my 3 months during the summer was researching poverty trends throughout Thailand, as well as Bangladesh, Cambodia, and even in the United States to make comparative models of what and how we can alleviate poverty in Thailand. So at the moment I was interning with them, Grameen Bank was actually still a startup and wasn't officially launched. They were officially launched as of 2 months ago, so they're officially up and running, and I was able to be part of the foundation to what they are now. My day-to-day was pretty simple. Honestly, it was a dream come true. I worked from Monday to Wednesday, and I was remote Tuesdays and Thursdays. The actual study abroad, I lived literally in downtown in a skyrise apartment, and I was living in luxury. Housing wasn't provided. I actually did it myself, but thanks to being in Southeast Asia, it was relatively cheap for me to afford. I commuted to work every day using the SkyTrain, something that is not common at all here in the United States, unfortunately. I actually got to talk with Dr. Eunice, sadly via Zoom because of, well, what was happening. But that was so fascinating and interesting, the fact that I could now interact with the world leader. Some of the pictures I have there, obviously of Muhammad, Eunice, and other interns I was with. Some of them were from UCLA and others were law students at local law school in Bangkok. So here's some of my pictures from my trip. Like I said, I was remote for 2 days out of the week. And my research was pretty, I'm not going to say simple, but my research delved into a lot of translation. I'm not a native Thai speaker whatsoever. Luckily, with today's technology, I was able to maneuver around the language barrier and was able to get things done pretty quickly. So in my free time, I went island hopping, tried delicious food, and met some amazing people. Some of the pictures that you see on top, specifically the one that looks like I'm in an infinity pool, that was actually the dean's house at our goodbye party. They live about 45 minutes away from Bangkok in a remote area in their mansion. And they're actually a UC Berkeley graduate and alumni. And that was us. As you can see, there's kayaks in the back. It was honestly a surreal experience, the fact that you could interact with your faculty like that. He provided us with a 5-star meal, and it was insane. As you can see right there, those are my fellow interns that I was with. They were also a part of the UC system, so we had people from Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara, UC Berkeley, UCLA. And during the time I was there was a lot of national holidays like the King's birthday, the Queen's birthday, stuff like that. So I did get even more time off. And what I did with that was I island hop, because some of the best things you can do when you're in Thailand is go island hopping, because it is a surreal experience, to say the least. You are taken to a different place. That picture specifically, I was actually in the Gulf of Thailand, swimming around and jet skiing. I know this all sounds crazy and I may be, flaunting a bit, but these are things that you can experience if you choose to study abroad. Some of the delicious food, I am the type of person that really wants to try everything when I go to different places and not just stick to chicken tenders like most people do. So I tried every single Thai food I could try. I tried kamangai, somtom, boat noodles, and the fruit, which was tremendously tasty, and I'm so sad I can't experience that anymore. As for the people that I met there, Thailand is an extremely beautiful country with the kindest people you will ever meet. I had a unique experience because as I was there, I was researching, unfortunately, the negative sides to Thailand and Bangkok. I was researching the poverty levels that were there because Thailand has a very low poverty rate due to household debt. It has one of the highest household debts in Southeast Asia. So having to walk down the streets and see people actually experiencing that was actually heartbreaking, but it motivated me a lot with my work because I knew I was able to help out the organization I was working for so they could help alleviate the poverty of these people. One cool thing that I want to wrap up with is on the corner over there is actually the King of Thailand. I happened to be at a movie theater during working hours, unfortunately, but my boss doesn't know that. And I went to go see a movie, and I noticed there was a lot of tourist police, because Thailand has specific police for tourists, and a lot of people in the little army getup that you see right there. So I was a bit curious because all the elevators stopped working, so I thought I was actually under some type of danger. Luckily, me being a bit nosy, I stayed on the first floor for like an hour waiting to see what the red carpet in front of me was all about. And the king and queen happened to pass by me, and we were made to kneel down out of respect. Make sure to do what the tourist police tells you to do, or else you could end up in a bad situation. But yeah, that was extremely cool that I saw the King of Thailand. I'm not the biggest royalist, but I was next to people who, that was their first time seeing them, and they've lived in Thailand their whole life. Like they're 30, 40 years old. And I just happened to be at the mall watching a movie and saw the King of, the King of Thailand. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's a little summary of my study internship abroad. I'm going to pass it off to Gabriela now.
Hello, everyone. So, like mentioned, I went to the United Kingdom. Brenda did her internship over the summer. I did mine during the fall quarter. I went to London and I studied at the London School of Economics and Political Science in a specialized program that is part of a collaboration between UC Davis and LSE Ideas, which is their foreign policy think tank. So my experience was a little bit different. For one, it was academic, but another part of it was we had a UC Davis faculty member, a professor, come with us and teach one of the classes. So we had 4 classes. We had one about the politics of European integration. We had another about global politics and themes within it broadly. We had one that was more focused on attending public lectures and getting you immersed in living in London. And the last was a political philosophy class with our UC Davis professor, who unfortunately is doing his research quarter this quarter, so I couldn't take any other classes with him. But, you know, it was an incredible experience. It was, like I said, UC Davis exclusive, so all of my classmates, you can see over there, are UC Davis students. So we all went together, we studied for 11 weeks together, and then we came back to the university. And, you know, some of them, I have classes with them this quarter. Other ones, I go out for drinks with them. And we went through 11 weeks of learning what is expected of you at an exclusive, prestigious British university. And it's different. It's definitely a different experience than being at a California school, even a University of California school. The other picture that I have up there was part of one of our, God, to call them like field trips is weird, but one of the things that we did was we went to the Royal Courts of Justice. We got to tour, we got to see the whole building. Another time we went to the Houses of Parliament, and we got to go into the House of Lords, which is not something you're typically allowed to do, but the House of Lords wasn't meeting that day, so we got to go in and see everything. We were not allowed on the blue carpet section, which is reserved for royalty, but we got to look down it, which was pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, so we had academic courses, and one of the things that the London School of Economics does is they have both their faculty and visiting faculty come and give public lectures for anyone to attend. One of the ones that I attended was about the British wealth elite, so whether or not the myth of, you know, increased class permeability is really a thing that's reflected in British society. And what do you know, it's not. Big surprise, the rich stay rich, and the aristocracy stay aristocratic. We were living in Islington, which is a neighborhood of North London, and I used the bus or the tube to get to school every day. And let me tell you, it was quite an adjustment coming back and having to drive places, because it was really nice, you know, just being able to walk down a flight of stairs and get wherever I wanted in the city and not have to really do anything about it. But part of the program was providing us with housing, We all lived together in one apartment building, which was pretty cool. There were all kinds of food and pubs and comedy clubs around us, so we got to go out as groups and, do activities and really bond, which was cool. Let's see. And then in addition to studying at the LSE, I went and visited other campuses. So while I was in England, I went and I visited Cambridge and I visited Oxford. I will say that I did like Cambridge a bit more. If you can believe it, Oxford it's stuffy. Yeah, it's a bit much. But then I did another separate trip up to Scotland. I went to Edinburgh. I got to see the campus, which is the law school, in the center of Edinburgh. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. And then I went up to Ireland, which right there is part of the Long Hall, which is the main part of the old library in Trinity College. The political philosophy class that I was talking about was concerning Thomas Hobbes and John Locke. I saw a bust of John Locke, so I had to take a picture and show it to my professor. And then when I came back during this quarter, one of the classes that I'm taking is all about intellectual history in Europe. So I got to show my professor this quarter and look very snotty and very above it. And oh, well, you wouldn't believe it. While I was in Dublin, I actually went to Trinity College and I got a picture of me with a bust of John Locke. I don't know how much my classmates like me, but I had fun. And the last part that I want to talk about is just travel broadly. One of the jokes that they make is that the LSE program really studies for Let's See Europe, which, I mean, it kind of was. It's, a long flight to get over to the United Kingdom. It's, 11 hours, but once you're over there, a flight to Edinburgh or Dublin's an hour and maybe 40 pounds. So you can, for example, have, a conversation that you half remember with your classmates about going to Amsterdam the following weekend, and then not really do anything to prepare for it until the Tuesday before the Thursday where you're going to fly out and get tickets and a hostel and make reservations. And it's just really cool and really affordable and not something that you can do in the US. You can't just, take an hour flight and be in a different country and just experience all kinds of fun. I will say, of all of the many things that Brexit has done, it did suck having to wait in the very, very long passport lines with all of the very irritated British, Scottish, and Northern Irish people who, that might be the worst thing about Brexit for them. They have to wait in a line with the rest of us to get into the Netherlands, and it sucks. So, like I mentioned, my first trip was to Amsterdam, which cannot recommend enough. Awesome sights. The picture of the canal right there was the first day that we were in Amsterdam. And, beyond being beautiful and everything else, there were lots of surprises. If you ever do make it over there and you do a walking tour, which I would recommend, walking tours are incredible. Some of them are free, some of them are really affordable, but it makes an immense difference to actually walk around the city with somebody who lives there, knows it, and can tell you little things that you would have otherwise no idea. Like, hi, I'm gonna surprise all of you. What you think you go to Amsterdam to do, the thing everybody associates Amsterdam with, it's not legal. It's not. It's just not criminalized. Which is very, very Dutch. It's not illegal, and we know that you're doing it, but you're doing it behind that door right there, and I'm not going in there, so it's okay. You're paying, right? Perfect. Hold on, sorry. My next trip was to Edinburgh, which I unfortunately do not have a picture of, though it was my favorite place that I went and visited. Absolutely gorgeous. The architecture was inspiring. London is a large metropolis, and you can't walk more than a block without seeing a building from the 16th century. But they also have a lot of new skyscrapers and new architecture. But Edinburgh looks the way that it has looked since the 1800s, and it's beautiful. It really feels like you're walking through a city that existed before the Industrial Revolution. And it's really cool. We went there. We actually went the weekend of the National Whiskey Festival. So that was fun. That was really fun. And I wish I had a picture of King Arthur's Seat that my friends and I ended up climbing. But by the time we got to the top, so one of the best things that you can do is ask locals for their advice. What you should do, what would they recommend? And our very nice waitress, the first night we were there, told us that we needed to climb King Arthur's Seat. And the best view is at sunset. So, we spend our, beginning of the day walking around the city, we do an afternoon tea, and then as it starts to get later, we make our way up to the mountain. And, we started to get this sinking feeling as we were walking. It was really cloudy. Like, I wonder if we're going to be able to see the sunset. So we make our way all the way up to the top, and we're at the peak during sunset. And then, do you guys, you all know what happens after sunset, right? The sun goes down, so it starts getting dark. And parks and hikes are different there. In the U.S., specifically in California, they're very, very well organized, labeled safe trails that you walk on that are managed by a government agency, or were previously managed by government agents. But it's not really like that in Scotland. It's a big mountain, and you kind of just climb it, and you go where you see other people have gone, and you can tell that by the grass is trodden down. So we were climbing down the mountain without real trails. After sunset, when it had started to rain, and we had to pull out our phones for flashlights and hope that they didn't die by the time that we got down there, and that we were all keeping pace with each other so nobody got left up on the mountain at night. And it's raining, and I'm walking down, and I'm thinking, oh God, of all the ways that my mother imagined that I might die while I'm in Europe, I don't think she ever imagined that I would be dumb enough to hike down a mountain in Scotland in the pouring rain in the middle of the night. But I survived. So hey, it worked out. The next place that I went to was Cardiff, which is in Wales. And like it says, it's Cardiff. It just, it was a nice city, but it's Cardiff. So not a place that I'd return to. I'd see the rest of Wales, but I don't think I'd go back to Cardiff. And then after that, we went to Berlin. And I have 2 pictures from Berlin up there. I have me sitting there looking at the Berlin Wall, the section near Checkpoint Charlie, which is still standing. And the picture at the top is my friend Ben and I at a Christmas market, which, in Germany and all across Europe during late November and throughout December, Okay. All kinds of food. One of the things that was really funny was at the London School of Economics, one of my professors, Dr. Eiko Thielemann, his family was from East Berlin. They escaped East Berlin. He ended up growing up in Frankfurt, and we asked him what we should do while we were there and, what food we should eat. And we had the same experience in Amsterdam. It was very, it's just German food. It's just, Dutch food. It's nothing special. I don't know if you guys are really going to enjoy it. And that's a lie. They're lying to you. It's incredible. They're assuming that because you're American or you're from California, that you want to be able to walk down a street and see a Thai place and a Korean place and a Japanese place and Mexican food, which don't eat Mexican food in Europe. It's not going to be good. We come from California. It's offensive, truly, what they call Mexican food. And I didn't want to pay the exorbitant fee that I would have to pay to go to, it would have to be at least like a 2-star restaurant to be decent Mexican food. So I just gave it up. I didn't have any. And a burrito was the first thing that I ate when I got home. But no, go enjoy, immerse yourself in the local culture, try the food. I don't know if you can tell from the list, but all of the places where I went, they speak English. Even if it's not, the official language, they speak it. So hey, if you don't want to learn another language, if you don't have another language, there's your list. And the last place that we went was Dublin. I ended up doing a crazy thing. I had class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Thursday after class, we cut out. We took a train straight to the airport. We got on, we flew, we landed in Dublin that night, spent 5 days there, flew back Monday before class. And that's something you can do, which is really, really cool. I may not necessarily recommend it, but you can do it. So, hey. Awesome. It was really incredible. We stayed in the Temple Bar District, and there was music and there was food, there was live music 7 nights a week, Guinness, whiskey, everywhere. And the people were very, very nice. And they will wink at you. Every single Irishman that I talked to winked at me. And every other person that I went with, they're so friendly. Guys, I was expecting to have to answer some very awkward questions or have confrontational, discussions. No, not once. I was there during the election, which I will not speak about because I'm being recorded. But in the midst of all of that, everybody was still very nice and very polite and very sweet. And it was just incredible. I know I've spent more time talking about traveling than I did about the, academic side of a 3-month study abroad, program at one of the UK's most prestigious universities. But, let's see Europe. Let's be honest. There aren't a lot of people who do the study abroad for the studying part. And if you can find a place to go, Brenda went island hopping. I did, England's an island, so I left that, so kind of island hopping. It was just, an incredible experience that you don't get over here because we're such a massive country. You can drive for 6-8 hours and still be in California. You're over there, you can take an hour plane and, be across a continent. It's really awesome. And, I don't think you talked about the financing of it, but hey, if you're getting financial aid from the university, you can apply that towards your study abroad. There are all kinds of scholarships and other things that you can apply for. It's a lot of money when you look at the bill and the breakdown, but it's not impossible. And if you're at a school studying specifically, we're international relations, so traveling is kind of part of our requirements, the university wants to help you. And if the university doesn't, then there are private organizations that want to help you. Because traveling and seeing different parts of the world and, representing your country individually is a great opportunity to, however you feel about it, show the rest of the world what the US is really like, or at least some of us. And, I think that's an incredible opportunity that, I wouldn't be the person that I am now without it. And if I don't mention this right now, I think he's going to kill me, and I can see him looking at it. But when I say that it changed my life, I'm not just being over dramatic. This is my senior year. I'm graduating in the spring, and I'm applying to graduate schools over there. I went to LSE, or I was at LSE, but I went to Oxford and Cambridge to look at the campuses to see if I liked them. I went to Edinburgh to look at the University of Edinburgh. I went to Ireland, to Dublin, because I wanted to see Trinity College, and I loved all of them, and I'm applying to all of those schools, which is not something that I would have considered doing before traveling, because it's really intimidating. I will acknowledge. I had never left the country before September. I'd never traveled on my own before. But I had all my documents. I got on a plane. I sat on a plane for 11 hours. And, I did it all by myself. I got a little lost in Heathrow Airport. But after that, you have a phone. Make sure that you get your phone unlocked so that you can use eSIMs so you don't deal with all the roaming charges, because there are a lot. I found that out, there are a lot. But, I took a massive leap that was really scary, and it worked out. And now I'm trying as hard as I can to get back, because you never know what you're capable of or what you'll enjoy until you actually do it. And if you're in college and you have the ability to go and explore and broaden your horizons, take advantage of it. Because there aren't a lot of times in your life where you'll have the ability and the time and the support to do that. You might as well do it while you can. And with that, I think I will move us on to the Q&A section. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, raise your hand, and Brenda and/or I will answer it as best we can.
Brenda, you said that the bank that you were interning for, it just started a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Did you see that their goal was to help reduce the household debt and help people who are in poverty?
Yeah, so Grameen Bank is actually not the first bank to ever, their Thailand branch is actually not the first one. They started in Bangladesh, and they actually have a bunch of offices in the US as well. So they actually are here domestically. I believe there's some in California, some in New York, Georgia, Texas. They tend to be in areas with also high household debt or high poverty levels. But yeah, I got to see firsthand before they launched officially all the things they were planning to do. Any of the loans they were going to plan out, I was in the meetings with them, planning out what the interest rate would be, how many people would be able to even get them. We even went on the ground to local communities who were the most impoverished, and went to local businesses, small business owners who were low income, to see what are your necessities? How do you plan to expand? Because the biggest thing in Thailand with their household debt is loan sharks. So I was there. I saw firsthand loan sharks coming into businesses and waiting for their money. But I did get to experience all of the foundational things of Grameen Bank. Any other questions?
Yeah, so I'm a political science major here. I know you guys are international relations majors, but like, how would this be different, the travel experience per major?
So I'll start, but for mine, since I did it under UCAP, the requirements for major specifically, you just had to be part of letters and science, so you had to be some type of social science major. The individuals I was with, who were also from other UC campuses, weren't even international relations. Some of them were psychology. I had one who was a minor in political science, some were accounting. But there are also specific programs for political science. Okay, Brilla.
To answer your question, Baylor, we had a student a couple of years ago who went on a similar trip to this as a political science major out of CRC to UC Davis. And overly simplifying it, think structurally or systemically. Her internship was with the Scottish Parliament as a legislative analyst first, and then as a legislative aide helping to write bills within Scotland. So the type of internships that you would be looking at would be more tied to what a political scientist does as opposed to what an international relations student would be able to do by and through their education.
And for my experience, so I'm, like I mentioned, an international relations major, but the program that I was in was specifically a political science program. And within, my program, we had people who were political science majors, there were communications majors, sociology majors. We had an engineering student and somebody else who was studying biochemistry. I don't know how they did academically, but they had a lot of fun. But, there are other programs for study abroad that are targeted to different things. I know UC Davis specifically over the summer, there's one for winemaking in France. There's one in Chile, which is all about human rights and memory. It's a very short, intensive program, but it's over the summer. And there are other things like that. UC Davis and UC EAP offer study abroad programs in a variety of countries for a variety of majors. So if that's your concern, you can always look. There's an extensive list offered on the website. So your school, if it offers like a study abroad experience, there's going to be, for us at UC Davis, it's the Global Learning Hub, which will explain to you what your options are, where you can go, how you can try to fund it, and what you can do. Any other questions?
Well, I'd like to thank you both for coming tonight. This is an unusual program in the sense that it's not anything that we really have done before, but I thought it would be something that would be valuable. To me, travel is something that I cannot live without. I need to see other places. I need to see other things. And as you build your experiences traveling, and it's really funny, one of the things that was said that you need cash in Berlin. I've been to Berlin, and I remember that. And that trip was 2 ago. The last one was to a wedding in Scandinavia. So I went to the money exchangers, and I changed money, and I got to Copenhagen, and no one would take my money. It had to be plastic. I thought, okay, well, my next stop is Stockholm in Sweden. I'll have no problem using money there. No one wanted my money. I got to Oslo on the way, the last stop on the way home. Nobody would take my money. So it's one of these things that you sort of like laugh at and go, okay, I've learned something about where to go, where not to go, what to do, etc. But back to the joy of traveling, the food that you have, the conversations that you have, the life that you have is very different from what we have here, and that to me represents more growth than any textbook can provide you with or anything else. So I encourage you to travel. Whenever you transfer away from CRC to whatever school you end up going to, the study abroad programs will have multiple options for you that will be much more in line with what your interests are, and only you know what they are, right? Whether it's a linguistic trip, whether it's an internship trip, whether it's an academic study program, only you know what that looks like. And again, don't be afraid to take that first step. So you two, thank you very much for coming. I will in this program and say thank you all as well for coming tonight. Thanks.